Hello everyone, welcome back to the Zach GP channel. And oh my word, what a race we just had. Not even just a race, what a whole great weekend Brazil was. Now, not really for F1 Fantasy. Whew. It's been a hard couple of weekends for F1 Fantasy for me. Just lots and lots of DNFs in the sprints do not help. However, F1 terms, wow. Where do I even start? I mean, the big talking point from the sprint race, which I'll briefly mention, was Lando Norris winning and Oscar Piastri crashing out. Now, we actually had 3 people crash out on the same curb, which would have been Piastri, Colapinto, and Hulkenberg, which is where I picked up my minus 40 points. Thank you very much. Masterclass from me, I know. But it was just incredible to see them within like seconds of each other, all just going off for the exact same reason. Because of this, Norris then went and won, got those 8 points, went 9 points clear of Piastri before the race even started. Then for qualifying, Norris put it on pole with Piastri only in 4th. And get this, Verstappen in 16th. Now, it looked like it was completely over for Verstappen. In 16th, if they didn't do anything to that car, it was done and dusted. But they made the smart move to start him from the pit lane. So basically, they could just dick about with his car, try to figure out what went wrong, and just start him in 20th, new engine, all of this new stuff on his car, and just really hope that it worked. Spoiler alert if you didn't see the race, but it did. It was literally the Max Verstappen show again. Now, was it 17th to 1st? No. But it was the pit lane start to 3rd place. It was absolutely sensational watching him going around that track. He just is so alive at Brazil. And he shows he doesn't even need it to be raining. I actually think if it was raining, it could have potentially been worse for him because he was just picking them off left, right and centre. It really does make me think when you watch Max Verstappen, especially at Brazil. Like, no offence to every other driver out there because it is a lot to do with, you know, if he's overtaking like Hulkenberg, it's because he's in a Sauber or whatnot. But it looks like when I would play F1 25 and I will just be dive bombing it down and everyone will just be letting me past and I'll just be completely going for it and just levels above everyone else. It's just like that. He makes everyone else look like NPCs. He is absolutely phenomenal. I can't say how good Max Verstappen is, and it's so weird to think about because the other key point of this was Lando Norris winning the race, so he got first in the sprint race, pole position and the win. Brilliant from him. So after all of this big work for Verstappen, he's still dropped to 49 points behind the championship leader of Lando Norris now, and realistically with about 80 to 90 points on offer now for the rest of the season. Sadly, I think that's it for Verstappen. It's incredible how that can be the story we can get from this brilliant race weekend from Verstappen. But it's sad. He needed to win this. He needed to finish ahead of Lando Norris, and it just didn't happen. Like, he was levels above everyone else, but there's only so many levels you can be. So, huge well done to Max Verstappen. The most deserved driver of the day, I think, of the entire season so far. No surprises. He got more than 50% of the vote. Even I, in F1 Fantasy terms, couldn't not admit, okay, he has to get driver of the day. Even I voted for him. That's how good he was. But that was Max Verstappen. And then we also had another very exciting podium finisher of Kimi Antonelli. It is the second podium of his career. And he defended Max Verstappen so well. I will say, I a couple of times haven't been the biggest fan of Kimi Antonelli just because I haven't seen exactly what everyone else has been shown for him to be this future world champion generational driver. But if he does races like that more often, 100% he can. No, George Russell completely got destroyed by Max Verstappen at the end of the race, and Kimi Antonelli held his nerve. He did go wide at the end of the race, but it was okay because it was in Sector 2 and you can recover from that. But Kimi Antonelli kept Max Verstappen behind for a few laps at the end under such big pressure to get the second podium of his career and massive points to help Mercedes out in this championship fight. And actually talking about both championships, the constructor side of things, this has really helped Mercedes with a 2nd and a 4th, where Ferrari had a double DNF. Just such a Ferrari thing. It wasn't even Leclerc's fault that he got a DNF. And then Hamilton's front wing came off. He had a bit of other issues with the car and he had to retire. Oh, Ferrari fans, I feel so bad for you. There is nothing you can say about that. But I think that's Constructors' Championship over for Ferrari. I think they can still fight for third place if Verstappen has a couple of races where he's not on it. But yeah, 18 points plus the 12 points from Russell. That's an extra 30 points. They're back ahead of Ferrari by around 30 points with the sprint points included as well. It's really looking Mercedes way, especially with Vegas looking like a potential Mercedes track if it's anything like last year. But those are the front four. Top five, the final finisher of Oscar Piastri just wasn't his race. He got the 10-second penalty for crashing into Antonelli and Leclerc, which was why Leclerc got the DNF. And it almost seemed like it could have worked out if he had a little bit more pace. And so Max Verstappen was able to keep in front of him. And then that meant that he could attack Russell, he could attack Antonelli. And then even at the end of the race, it just looked like he just did not have it in him. I don't think, even if you gave Piastri another few laps, he was getting past Russell. It just looked like it was one of those where Russell had just enough of his tyres left compared to a Piastri to just keep him at bay for that long straight heading into the first corner. But for the rest of the grid, it was absolute mayhem. We'll go back to Bortoleto right at the start of the race, who got a DNF. Again, I don't actually think it was his fault. It was definitely Lance Stroll's fault, but it was lap one. Anything can happen. He got pushed wide a little bit, and he just crashed, and that was the end of his race. Such a shame to see. That means a double DNF for him in the sprint race. Almost got top 10. To be fair, in that sprint race, I still don't know why he went for that move so audaciously, because it wasn't for the points. It was a top 10 finish, but sprint race is only top 8. And then in a race, I don't know if he could have recovered into the points, but it was a shame because Hülkenberg, his teammate, actually did recover into the points. And actually, that is the big talking point of the midfield. Behrman P6, another brilliant drive. In my rookie rankings, if he continues this form, I'm not kidding, he's going to rise all the way up to the first place position after this. I mean, if Kimi Antonelli continues as well, he's going to be like third or second at this point. And then you had a massive gap to Liam Lawson, masterclass, who was on a one-stop. And it looked like at multiple points in the race that it was just not going to happen. If everyone caught up to him, it was over. It was over. But he had the buffer of Hülkenberg also on the one stop on the softs though, meaning that because Lawson and Hülkenberg were sort of both struggling with tyres, they were dragging each other along and everyone else was struggling to get past. It must have been so infuriating for someone like Pierre Gasly because he looked like he deserved a P7 this race, and even getting points in that Alpine, phenomenal race for him. Would have been up there for driver of the day for me if Verstappen hadn't had such a massive drive, and I mean if Piastri was able to get past both of them. But it meant that at the end of the race we had the 7th to around 13th, 14th, it was something like that, all covered in the DRS zone of just one long Lawson train. It was absolutely incredible to see, and I have to appreciate Brazil so much. I love this track, and I still think if money wasn't a huge thing, again, but I just wish it was the final race again. Brazil as the final race is always such a great race, and imagine that was the final race. Lando Norris getting the title, Oscar Piastri falling a little bit back. It would have been an absolutely brilliant race to watch for the final, and I can guarantee you it will be better than Abu Dhabi. It will be, just because of how Abu Dhabi's laid out. Abu Dhabi won't be a terrible race, but Brazil is always, no matter what, normally in the top 5 races of a season. It's so good for the racing. It's so good for strategies. Again, we had split strategies. How many times have I mentioned this, where split strategies just work? Where people on the one stop, people on the two stops. Max Verstappen, who had a slow puncture, had to pit early. And actually, it looked like that actually worked out for him in the end, because he was able to pit under virtual safety car and get into a position where he had fresher tyres than everyone else by tenfold. So I just can't state enough just how brilliant this race weekend was. For Piastri, and Ferrari fans, no, not so good. But for actual racing in F1, phenomenal. I will say, championship side, on the driver's side, it looks like if it carries on this way, I will say if Lando Norris is able to win in Vegas, it's championship over, which is why I'm a little bit excited for Vegas, because I don't actually think he will win in Vegas. I think it will be one of the Mercedes, and potentially Verstappen could get into the mix of it. But if he does, and Piastri's around 30-ish points behind Norris coming into the final 2 races. It's too much. Unless someone decided to DNF Norris in the next 2 races after Vegas, I think it'd be over. Like I mentioned there, I think Verstappen, he has to hope that Norris has 2 DNFs in the next 3 races, which is just highly unlikely. Not impossible, but unlikely, which is a shame because it would have been interesting to see a 3-way battle all the way going to Abu Dhabi. It did add a little bit of spice, but I think Norris has got a really, really nice buffer now, and we'll see exactly how the rest of the season pans out. But onto the rankings of this race, and for me, if I thought Mexico was an 8.5, which I think I've actually put a little bit high now, I think Brazil has to have been a 9.5, a 9 maybe. It was on Silverstone levels. Was it as good as Silverstone? I don't know if it's just because of the Hulkenberg podium that I still love Silverstone that much. There wasn't much that could have been better. Verstappen charging through the field, multiple crashes, multiple different strategies. This is F1 in a nutshell when there isn't any chaotic weather conditions. So anyway, comment down below, how did you feel about the Brazilian Grand Prix? Comment down below how you did in F1 Fantasy as well. Oh, it's not looking good. I think I'm just going to be trying to hold on to top 5,000 now with people playing extra DRS in Qatar, because I think I dropped back to the below top 2,500. I think I'll be around that range after that race, so it wasn't ideal for me. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully the triple header coming up. We've got a little bit of a break, but then Vegas, Qatar and Abu Dhabi back to back to back. I'm very excited for. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon. Take care.